Hey guys, how's it going? MT Major here. Welcome back to Unreal Engine 5. As you can see, we have a few Elite Dangerous ship models here on this big map. And what I wanted to do is I just wanted to walk around these ships, kind of like show you guys what it would look like right next to a person, all in scale on a giant on a giant scale actually, yeah. As you can see, it's 4 different colors. And let me just zoom out here. It's 4 different colors set to 50, 100, 150, and 200 meters. And then from here, you can see all these different ships. There's not a lot. We got the Sidewinder right here, Diamondback Explorer, the OSP Explorer. We got the Federal Dropship, one of my favorites. We got the Crate Mark II. We got the Imperial Clipper. We got the Anaconda, and we have the Imperial Cutter. And we have an Anaconda in the air right there as well. Now, what I want to achieve with this is I want to take all these ships and take a look at what they would look like in a civilian setting, essentially. And we're going to do this per episode, I think. But it's just fun for me to kind of like look at what it would look like, you know, in a forest, or kind of what I did with the Corvette video, which went really well. So I want to do more of those kind of videos because I really enjoy doing these kind of videos as well. And yeah, so these models are from Thingiverse. They are completely made with Creative Commons, and I figured could just use these to show perspective. So I did not make these models myself, but they are really cool and really well made, and they show the exact size, which is the most important part in this setting. And although they don't have their landing gear out, and when you get close the detail kind of fades a little bit, it still conveys the ship very well. And yeah, it just like, it always boggles me how big the Imperial Clipper is, because this ship really does not seem that big when you are in it, and when you are, especially for the price point, right? Because it's one of the, I think it is the cheapest large size ship. Maybe, well, actually, I think the Type 7 is technically also a large type, so that one's actually cheaper. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then of course the Anaconda right here. And I mean, how long does this take me to run around this? Would alone give you a sense of scale. And of course in Elite you can do this too, but this just this is on a different level, because you can never park all these ships next to each other like this on a scale. And then we have the Cutter, of course, the Majestic Cutter, which is definitely out there. Now there are more models, definitely more models that we can use. And but this is kind of like an introduction to a little series I want to do, where we kind of take a look at all these vehicles in their perspective. As our first episode, let's start with the Anaconda. Why not? Probably the most famous ship of Elite Dangerous, I would argue. Maybe the Cobra Mark III would be a little bit more famous, because it's on the on the title of the game, right? But the Anaconda is very thought as like the staple of Elite Dangerous. When you have a lot of money, you buy the Anaconda. And I bet every single player, if they have enough money, have bought the Anaconda at one point, because it is the ship you want. The Anaconda is a very large ship, one of the biggest ships in the game, and considered as also one of the most dangerous, I would say, in terms of damage output. It really is really dangerous. So the ship is a little bit longer than 150 meters. So the ship is 155 meters long, 62 meters wide, and 32 meters tall. Next to that, it has a fighter hangar, a hull mass of 400 tons. How in the world this has 400 tons, no one knows. It should be much higher, but you know, I digress. and it is a large ship. The costs of this ship is 146 million credits, which is quite expensive. And as you can see, it really is quite massive. Yeah, the Anaconda. So, how big is it compared to the other ships in Elite Dangerous? Well, of course, here you can see how big it actually is. But let's, for example, take the Osp and put it right next to it. Here you can see that it is quite large indeed. Although the Osp is about as wide as the Anaconda is, which is interesting. The Anaconda still is quite much larger than the Osp is. Especially if you look at it from this perspective and you see how much bulk the Anaconda still has, and how many like routes, passageways, halls, like interior in terms of rooms and all that stuff the Anaconda might have. And don't forget, the Osp is a pretty big ship too, if you were to compare it to, walking right next to it. The Osp would be pretty large as well. I mean, don't forget, that is the door to go in. So, not a small ship at all. Alright, so what does the Anaconda look like when we put it above a forest or in a city? Let's take a look. Well, here we are walking through a nice forest, and then we look up and the grass is blocking it, but that whole thing up there is in fact the Anaconda. So the Anaconda doesn't really fit on this level, but to give you some perspective, this is what it would look like under the or above the forest. So if you were ever to go to a level in Elite Dangerous that would have forests in the future, if they would ever add that, then this is something that you could expect it to look like. Now, you must realize this is also one of the reasons why Elite Dangerous doesn't have these dense, detailed forests in their game, is because you can imagine having a planet filled with this amount of quality is going to be extremely difficult for the game to handle. And, well, it's not impossible for the game to handle or to even generate. So, this is why we probably will never see something like this in Elite, but it is still really fun to see what it would look like if it is above a forest. I'm walking around here and going to this clearing, looking up, and then you would see the Anaconda right there. Well, look at this nice town. Everything is a little bit, destroyed and ruined. Maybe it's because of the giant Anaconda class frigate Corvette that's hanging above our heads. Yeah. Again, a little bit too big for the map, but this does really show scale, doesn't it? The Anaconda is, in fact, about as big as a block. A block of buildings. Which is pretty cool, but also pretty insane. Now, if we turn this around and we put the Anaconda right next to the buildings, so let's put it here, and then a little bit taller so it would simulate that it's landed, which I think it would look something like this, because you can barely walk under it when it's landed, when its legs are out. It would look pretty crazy. I mean, the Anaconda is literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories high, maybe 8 in some cases. I mean, imagine waking up from your bed and looking down and seeing this in a parking lot. Holy shit. What's going on? I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, it really does show that it is quite insane that this ship is being piloted by only one guy or woman. I mean, you would assume a whole crew would be needed to keep this thing clean and all that stuff, but I guess not. In Elite Dangerous, I guess not. Super interesting to see it this way, and well, a good sense of scale you'll get once you're seeing images like this. And let's take the Sidewinder here for fun, just so we can see the differences. So here we have the Sidewinder. I parked it in the middle of the road. So as you can see, the Sidewinder is about as wide as a 4-lane road, which is pretty interesting. And there's a little door, so the scale makes sense. And then here's the Anaconda again. So the Sidewinder, even though it's very small in compared to the Anaconda, still quite large, and yeah, still pretty cool to see like that. So yeah, well, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know which ship I should take a look at next. These videos are really fun to do because it really, also for me, it really makes a good kind of like sense of scale of the game and compared to real life things, something that Elite Dangerous is just not always good at doing. Although I think with Odyssey they've done a lot more work into achieving that, because you can now get out of your ship and walk around it. But then again, having it compared to real life things we know, like, you know, trees, forests, buildings, and all that stuff, roads, it really does add a lot. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, please do leave a subscribe and like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.